property is a business that not only pushes you in terms of, you self-development in both your personal as well as your business. So, it's a journey. You're gonna face all kinds of obstacles, and it's about really getting through those challenges. So for me, I live for challenges. I love taking challenges on. I like that battle, that kind of, this challenge, I need to get past it.
Okay, hey guys, welcome to another Property Convo. Here's one I'm really excited about because, we tried once to make it happen, and then it didn't. We had some technical issues the first time. I had a technical issue today, but I'm thankful that we got over it because I'm really excited to talk with my good friend, James Doherty.
Thank you so much.
How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm very well. Thanks for having me on your show. It's always nice to sit down and talk property and get in a position where we can actually finally speak. So it's good.
Yes. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I mean, so first of all, how things going? How's your day going? What you've been up to?
Yeah, day's going well. I've just been on the phone to my investors and estate agents today. Really, I'm morning in and organising viewing. So it's been good progress.
Good.
Yeah.
How
are you?
Yeah, it's been all right today. So the last couple of weeks for me have been quite busy. Just one of the things I keep saying to people is lockdown has been more busy for me, I feel like, than outside of lockdown. And not because I'm doing big things or anything like that. It's just life, like parenting, balancing that with family life. So I find that you're always kind of like on. There's not really much downtime.
Yeah, totally. I can imagine, because it's also changing your routine, isn't it?
Exactly.
Normally you kind of be your work and you can kind of associate yourself with your day job there, and then when you do your property stuff. So it's kind of a mix in that as well, and obviously being a dad as well. So family time crucial. So yeah, I can always take my house to all parents at the moment. I'm just because I'm in awe. I know what it's like from my brothers to have my nephews and my nieces, and it's a full-time job. So I salute you parents out there for sure.
I mean, funnily enough, not that this is what I was planning to talk about, but it was Father's Day recently, and I had literally the best Father's Day ever. And you probably literally, it was the best Father's Day ever, but not for reasons that you might think. So my wife, who is like the true MVP of this story, she basically said, do whatever you want today, like don't do anything, don't lift a finger today.
Oh, wow.
Today.
That's a real story right there, Balaji.
That was wow. I got myself a real one. I was literally in bed on the couch. I was food fed, pampered, didn't have to do any kind of chores, no bedtime, no nothing. I actually felt so guilty that I was like, you know what, I have to do this for you now, like every couple of weeks, because the way that I'm feeling, I want you to feel it as well.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, maybe I'm thinking that was the plan. Maybe that's what she wanted.
Indeed.
She flipped it on me.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about me. So tell us about yourself. What do you do? What's your journey been in property so far? What do you specialize in?
Yeah, so I pretty much started my property journey in 2009 when I first bought my first investment property. And then from there, really, I've just been kind of managing properties for family and friends and not really thinking anything of it as you do. And kind of, then I got to a stage where I was like, when you manage property for family and friends, it's kind of a favor. And I was kind of doing things like, I'll go here to get a tenant to sign a contract, find a builder to do a roof, or get an electrician to rewire a flat and things like that. And then I got to a point when I was like, I'm actually really enjoying this. And it's actually quite fun, like, trying to find properties and trying to find the best, rental demand properties and so forth. So then I thought to myself, I've got to really make this into a business. And I then established my business about four and a half years ago now. And when I started off, I kind of started off like where most people do, rent-to-rent service accommodation. So I was doing service accommodation in London, from Canary Wharf to Balham to Mill Hill in North London. So I kind of wanted to get my experience of managing properties and seeing what it's like on a professional level. Then most recently, in the last kind of 2 years, I've basically transitioned my business from rent to rent to more kind of acquisitions, more kind of owning property. So securing a future really. So my mentality and my thinking really is I really want to secure a future for my great grandkids. And I don't have kids yet and stuff like that, but that's my thinking really. To leave a legacy, to build that opportunity whereby my great grandkids' university is taken care of. So that's my mentality. And my thinking is I can't do that with rent to rent because effectively a landlord can pull a property from you. Things can happen and so forth. I'd rather own a property. So I'm now working on the acquisition phase of my business.
So that's really interesting because you're not the only person that has said to me the whole like rent to rent, you start off and then you do something else. It's almost like there's not a hierarchy, but almost like a rite of passage in property where if you don't have, any experience, any money, any capital or little of those, rent to rent is where you start. But do you think that rent to rent is not a viable long-term strategy for a property like investor, or is it more come down to personal preference and what you want to do?
Yeah, I think most times what people think about rent to rent and the reason why people go into rent to rent is more for cash flow objectives. So effectively, they want to build enough cash to leave their job or be able to be in a position where they're financially free. And there's nothing wrong with that. I totally agree with that. I definitely support that in terms of when you're starting out, or in terms of, is there a hierarchy? It really depends on your capital. Depends on, do you have capital where you can go out and go buy your own property or invest up north or whatever it is. Everyone's individual situation is different. So, but for me, it's kind of like I wanted to understand it and I wanted to, build a cash flow and be in a position that, okay, this is how you do it and experience it from the point of managing properties. So that's the reason why I did that really, and then moved on to where I am now. But certainly, rent to rent is a viable option, especially HMOs. Cash flow, cash is king. So effectively, it's really about balancing both sides really as well. So do you want cash flow or do you want the equity? If it's important to you to have cash flow today, then you want to be effectively looking at a strategy that's going to give you that monthly cash flow. But if you're willing to wait and not worry too much about cash flow, then you can probably go for a long-term strategy of owning properties.
So rent to rent is more like a short-term, so almost like the concept of delayed gratification. The equity strategy and the acquisition strategy is a bit more long-term in terms of when you actually get the result in comparison to a rent to rent where it's a matter of months before you start like returning.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing as well that you have to think about is the fine balance of what does it actually entail. Rent to rent is a lot more hands-on, a lot more. The tenant has locked themselves out. The taps come off, or you gotta go change the light bulb. Those kind of mundane things is what rent to rent. That goes with it. Rent to rent makes you cash flow, but this is all the other things you got to think about, and also the management of it. Whereas in terms of the long-term strategy, in terms of equity building, in terms of acquisition, you've got a property that's yours, and you can effectively have that, and there's no kind of, regardless of what happens, someone taking that off you, or a landlord pulling the plug really. So for me, it's more the security side of things, to be quite honest. And I would say that you need a mixture of both, because you need to have rent to rent to say, I've got some cash flow today, but then also use that cash flow effectively to be building towards buying your own property.
Okay, no, it makes sense. It feels like rent to rent is about leverage in some senses, right? So almost use that to kind of get you to the next level in your journey. So you mentioned you started in 2009.
Yeah.
And in 2014 is when you kind of made the jump to make it, like an actual business. And like, what was it? Was it a case of, oh wow, this thing is making somebody money and it's not me? Or is it a case that, oh wow, this is like, I really enjoy doing this thing, or I'm really good at this thing, I could make a go of it? Like, what was the thought process from that transition?
For me, it's more about just trying to do something that I can call mine, and I can actually put my skills into it. You know, when you get to a position whereby, yes, most of us still have day jobs and so forth, and yeah, we do enjoy our day jobs, and it does provide for us and puts food on the table. But for me, it's just my ambition. I want to do more. I want to be in a position whereby I have a business, a property business that I can leave for my family and leave a legacy for, really. And something I'm passionate about. You know, property is a business that not only pushes you in terms of you self-development in both your personal as well as your business. So it's a journey. You got to face all kinds of obstacles, and it's about really getting through those challenges. So for me, I live for challenges. I love taking challenges on. I like that battle, that kind of, this challenge, I need to get past it. So really for me, it was more about, let me find a business whereby I thoroughly enjoy. I know it's a long process. It's not a short game, and it's something that's going to challenge me in more ways than one. So hence the reason why I went into it. And I thought to myself, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of, I got to a position where I was doing this for family and friends and anyone that had a property in England, basically. And I was thinking to myself, actually, if I did this as a business, it will actually be more profitable. I can actually get some profit for it, or get some money for it, and then be able to build and establish a business from there.
Okay. So when you were doing it for friends and family, it was, you were doing it for them like as a favor? Like, you were making some kind of money from it, like in terms of operating it, or it was more like a favor kind of thing?
Whoa. Zero, yeah.
Okay,
Zero. So it was things like, finding new tenants. One of them was actually an SA, so I kind of got an insight into what service accommodation was like. Another one was like, I need to find someone to put a partition wall in. So I just got experience of doing it that way, really. And for me, it's kind of things I did in the weekends and the evenings. I didn't really think anything of it, but there was no money involved or anything like that, really. And then I just thought to myself, that is me doing it as an amateur. Let me try and learn and actually educate myself and try and do this professionally. So that's where I went through my process of establishing a business.
That's pretty cool, because even though, you were doing it and perhaps not getting paid at the time, it's almost like you created your own kind of apprenticeship, because once you now decided to make the jump to do it on a more serious level, you already had that experience and track record of some kind of results and some kind of like relationships that you would have had in the industry. So in some senses, it was a good, it's almost like you used that to your advantage, and then kind of leverage that. So
definitely, I honestly, I was truly grateful for the opportunities, because it made me realize a lot of things, made me learn a lot of things. So effectively, I learned from mistakes I made, and understanding the process of how things get done, and being thrown in the deep end and just learning, really, just learning by doing, really. So I was grateful for the opportunity. It was a blessing in disguise, really, to be honest.
And so what was the conversation like from the transition? Because obviously, people talk about like, firing your boss. So did you have to have a tough conversation about, guys, I'm no longer doing this anymore?
No. I'm still working. I'm still working.
No. What I mean by that is, I meant, the people that you were doing like the voluntary property, management and those sort of things that you said you were doing before you went into your own thing.
It was more about getting them in a position where they could actually kind of do their own management. So I kind of got a position whereby they either had long-term tenants or they had a property manager that I employed for them, or whatever it is. Really just got them into a position that, I need to focus on me now, and it was I thoroughly enjoyed it, because it was the ability to kind of provide a service, deliver on something and actually experience it firsthand. It's kind of more not the commercial experience rather than just academic,
That's
something I was grateful for, but I certainly couldn't have done both now, and together with a day job as well. So I had to kind of make sure they were in a position whereby, right, you guys have enjoyed me for a good number of years now, and it's about time I flee the nest and do my own thing.
Your own thing, okay. So it was cordial.
Yeah.
But speaking of, firing bosses, I always have these fantasies of, because I'm working full time as well as doing my property thing.
Yeah.
I always have these fantasies of what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say, to that boss that I hate on the last day. I mean, thankfully, I don't work for a boss that I hate right now. But do you have any fantasies of, that leaving day? What the conversation is going to be like?
Do you know what? It's one of those things whereby, like, I don't tend to think too much about it, because I just want to focus on the day-to-day process, the weekly process, the weekly goals. When that happens, it will take care of itself. For me, it's more about, let's put the hard work in, because we can dream of, making that transition, but if you're not doing the day-to-day things, if you're not measuring what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, if you're not making those phone calls, if you're not doing those wins, and you're kind of dreaming and fantasizing about the end goal, when you haven't actually put in the work, you haven't actually hit the treadmill of actually getting things done, then for me, that's what's important. I don't really focus on that at all. I just focus on what can I do this week that can further my journey from where I am.
Okay. That's fair enough. Very, very diplomatic. Very.
Not at all. I'm just being honest. Like, I mean, one day I'd like to obviously be doing this full time and be in a position whereby, everything is kind of seamless and all that kind of stuff. But I've got to be realistic of where I am, and making sure that I can work according to my time, really.
Okay, now that makes sense. So another question I have is, you've been working in property for a while, and you would have obviously gained quite a lot of lessons learned and things like that. But what would you say is the biggest mistake that you've made in any of your things that you would like to share, obviously?
Biggest mistake I've made is probably like when I was doing service accommodation, and I mean, I still do it now, but when I was doing it, when I initially started, I didn't kind of try and mitigate as much risk. So in terms of what I mean is in terms of actually vetting guests and so forth as well. Well, I'll put it this way, though, like, did I do everything I can at that time? Probably yes, but could I have done more? Definitely. So I basically had a situation whereby a guest booked a property for the weekend, Friday to Saturday, for one of my essays down in Balham. And it worked out that I met the guest and obviously did the necessary checks, checked them in, because at that point I was doing all my check-ins myself. And basically the guest had booked it for their niece, and the niece was hosting a 18-year-old party.
Say no more.
That was a big learning curve for me, because effectively
they trashed the place.
Oh yeah, they trashed it. Yeah. I'm talking, champagne on the white carpet, nail varnish all over the place, complaints from the neighbours, neighbours complaining to the police, all sorts really, getting phone calls in the middle of the night. So yeah, I've been there really, and being able to kind of face that head on and be like, okay, I need to mitigate this and make sure this will happen in the future. So that's one big learning curve for me, massive learning. Because as soon as that one party occurs, it can ruin your whole essay setup, really. So I learned from that one. You learn from mistakes. You get up on the floor, you dust yourself up, and be like, right,
so move on,
and you put things in place to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah. And talking about that party, so did they, obviously, you said that this kind of thing can ruin your essay thing, but how detrimental was that to your essay operation at the time?
So basically, it actually led to me having a conversation with the landlord, because the landlord wasn't happy about it.
Of course.
And because it was a rent-to-rent essay, so I had that conversation with the landlord, and we're trying to basically put things in place to make sure it doesn't happen again. But effectively, kind of resulted in a shortened contract, really. So we meant to have it for a year. We had only had it for 4 months, so we ended up kind of giving it back at month 6. Because that's the thing. As soon as that happens, the neighbours are not happy.
Yeah.
And
Trust is broken, right? Yeah.
exactly. So it's something I learned very quickly, and that was my first essay as well. So you live and you learn, and touch
At
wood
least
is
it's,
since. So there we go.
yeah. Well, at least it happened in your first one, because it's better to get like these kinks out as early as possible,
Yeah,
and then you learn from it.
yeah, definitely,
Um,
definitely, definitely.
yeah. So, I mean, with that in mind, do you prefer like rent-to-rent standard, rent-to-rent HMO versus rent-to-rent SA? Like, what makes you lean towards an SA strategy over another strategy?
I mean, for me, I was just when I started off, I kind of did a foundation of all the different strategies. I wanted to kind of
Okay.
understand all the different strategies. And my first year of really starting a business was all about education and about learning about the strategies and
Mm.
working out which one do I actually like, which one would I actually enjoy. And I thought to myself, because I like traveling, I travel a lot. COVID has been a real challenge for me this year,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
normally
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be taking a couple of days off and so forth and going abroad. So for me, I always enjoy traveling. So when I travel, I like to stay in service apartments, and I look into the decor. I always look into like, how the interior design, and I always take pictures, and I just like that feel of like being having a home away from a place away from home feel kind of thing, really. So
Yeah.
for me, I always looked at that, and I just thought to myself that and that's why I like service accommodation, because it's kind of a short-term contract, and you need to basically provide a high quality of service and hospitality. So you have
Yeah.
provide a high quality of service to your guests that you get a good review, they want to come back to you, they give recommendations and so forth. And I just like that better. I just kind of enjoy that better than HMO. I just thought initially when I first started, I said, HMO is going to be a lot of work, and you have to deal with the same people for quite a long time, and you might get people that don't want to leave, and you hear all the stories really. So for me, I just wanted to pick a strategy that I'll feel comfortable with and that
Okay.
I'll enjoy doing. I enjoy going to pick what rug goes in the living room, and what kind of vibe the place is going to have, what's going to be
Mm.
the shocking thing in the furniture. Those kind of things excite me really. So I just like, what, and taking places where you can deck it out and make it look nice was something that I thoroughly
Yeah.
enjoy. For me, I was just like, SA is better because you kind of, I thought it's more of a hospitality one-to-one delivery
Mm.
service than just going,
Yeah.
right, this is my HMO, this is 5 people, live in it and hope
Yeah.
you along, that kind of thing. So there's just
Yeah.
different, you have to think about it really. So I enjoy SA, so that's why I focus on it.
Yeah. No, it sounds good. I mean, from what you're saying, it sounds like HMO strategy is probably like, okay, this is just commodity cash cow, give me every month. Whereas SA, you get to almost you're servicing a client. You're
Mm.
kind of utilizing that whole element of client service, and there's a almost quicker feedback loop because people are staying there for a short period of time, and you can almost instantly or very quickly what level of service you've given because the feedback comes, either way quickly, and maybe
Definitely,
there's a bit more gratification in that
definitely. I just like the bespoke service because you're catering.
bespoke service. Yeah,
Guests that have children or guests that are like there for business, and you're really catering to exactly what they want. So that personalized delivery is what I like about SA.
okay, cool. All right, so I know we're kind of running out of time, but just kind of replaying. So 2009 start, 2014 business kicks off. 2020 is where we are now. What are you doing now, and what's your plan for the future?
Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm working specifically with private investors. So I'm building my investor group and effectively working with investors to the acquisition. So in terms of either buying a place together or loan agreements and so forth. So that's what I'm doing right now. And the plan is to basically keep doing that, keep growing that investor group, and specifically only working with those group of investors to buy more properties. That's what I am really.
That's really good. But this has been a really interesting discussion. And one of the things that we do on this program is talk about cars because it was meant to be a car themed show initially.
Oh, right. Yeah, indeed.
Because I was driving in a car initially, but then
Yeah.
COVID happened, and then we had
Yeah.
to do it in Zoom. So my question is, what's your dream car and why?
Dream car. Wow. That's a good question. I guess the car I really would like would be Range Sport.
Range Sport, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just because I've always wanted the 4x4 really.
Okay.
And it's one of, I'll say that's the car I'm going for right now. I'm not big into kind of, the big flashy
Material
cars.
things. Okay.
Yeah, I'm more focused in terms of, getting something that's practical and something that's comfortable. So for me, that's
Okay.
Definitely.
That's interesting. I've had a few people who have had a very similar response where, I'm not into cars. I'm not into, material things. I just want to change the world. What is that? What is what's your view on that? Do you not have is there not things that you would like? So obviously, if it's not a car, what would be the thing that what would be the purchase for you that would be like, yes,
Wow.
I'm so proud of this.
That's a big question. In terms of what?
That I don't want to call it a vanity purchase because I'm not trying to promote that, but everybody has that thing that even though I'm not really interested in buying things for myself, but this one thing, I really want that. What would that be for you?
I think for me it will be to build my own home.
Okay.
I think
from start to finish. Okay.
Yeah, from start to finish, from ground up, that would be a massive, dream for me. Really, to be in a position where I'll build my own home, have my own features, make it mine, put my stamp on it from ground up. That'll be the big one.
And do you have a vision for that at the moment, or are you still kind of formulating that?
I've got a vision for it. And just
what does it look like?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I like to keep it to myself and just
of course, yeah.
Pray to God that it comes through.
Okay. So then, another question, and this is more maybe an accountability question. When are you going to build your house?
When am I going to build my house? Wow, somewhere.
When
I'm going to build it?
When? Sorry, yeah. When?
I'd like to give myself a 5-year plan, and somewhere in the outskirts, or close enough, not in London, but close enough to London.
Okay, so before 2025, James will have his own house that he's built from start to finish. Okay. Yeah. I'll call you in 2025.
Why not? Maybe we'll do this interview in the house. Why not?
But there you go. That would be so nice.
I'll be up for that. Definitely.
Okay. Cool. And then another quick question I have, nothing property related, but what are you listening to in Spotify or whatever music platform you use?
I'm listening a lot of Burna Boy for me.
Okay.
A lot of Burna Boy and podcasts, loads of podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah, but in terms of breaks between podcasts, then definitely
Burna Boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite Burna Boy song and favorite podcast.
Wow, you put me on the spot on that. I actually can't choose. There's too many.
Okay. They're all good, yeah? Okay.
They're all pretty good. Podcasts, I listen to a range of podcasts. Tej Talks is a really good one.
Tej is great, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good on that. And also reading like audiobooks are quite a big thing for me as well. So I'm actually reading 50 Cent's new book at the moment, which I highly recommend.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's pretty special in terms of like just vision, ambition, getting things done, and having a different perspective towards your goals. It's pretty special. So I definitely recommend it, for sure.
It's on my list. It's definitely on my list. Right now I'm reading Akala's book, Natives.
Oh yeah, that's pretty strong, that one.
Very strong,
I've got some big things. I think that's definitely going to be on my list as well to read, actually. Definitely.
Okay, James, man, this has been really, really, really fun. Really fun conversation.
I've thoroughly enjoyed my biology. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure talking property with you. So
yes, likewise.
I appreciate your time always, and definitely look forward to catching up soon.
Thanks for making it happen. And I guess before we go, if anybody wants to reach out to you to talk property or get involved in any of the things that you're doing, or just to, find out more information about you? Are there any handles you want people to be aware of, or any contact information?
Yeah, sure. You can contact me on most forms of social media at Doherty Property Services. So that's DOHERTY Property Services. And I'm pretty active on those. So give me a DM and we can have a chat. I'm always happy to add value and provide a service without expectation.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks so much, James. And, we'll speak soon. Take care.
Indeed. Thanks a lot.